So what's up though? What's up? Any world news? I keep hearing about the bank collapse. I'm kind of unsure. My mom was trying to explain it to me. I watched a video on it. Then I watched another one. Then my mom brought it up to me and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm already knowing about that. And then she explains it to me. And I still don't really quite like, I mean, the banks are collapsing. That's what I've understood. Two banks in particular. And they're getting like bailed out now.
Yeah. So basically Silicon Valley Bank is I think it was the 16th largest bank in the country. And this bank primarily would invest in startups. So during the pandemic, they had a lot of growth because there was a lot of money being funneled into the economy and businesses were thriving. So then they were getting a lot of cash flow and they were doing great. But what ended up happening was they were investing a lot of money into bonds. And technically, banks only need to keep 10% of cash on hand. So let's say I invest or I give the bank 10 grand in a savings account. They only have to keep 1 grand in cash. The rest they can invest, and that's how they make their money.
Right.
And so what ended up happening with these bonds is they put all their eggs in one basket pretty much. And what ended up and the federal government's obviously raising rates. When the government raises rates, the price of the bonds fall. Mm-hmm. And so when the price of the bonds fall, they're obviously losing money. And so very generally, people realize that the bank realized, okay, we don't have that much cash on hand because we're kind of in a recession. So people are slowly pulling cash out. So they were forced to sell these bonds at a major loss. And so when they reported this, people started freaking out like, okay, this bank's losing more money than a normal bank would typically lose. And a bunch of people were pulling out money at once, and the bank was forced to file for bankruptcy because they didn't have enough cash on hand. And now taxpayers are forced to bail out the bank.
Got it.
Which is it's screwed up because it's like if I take a loss in the stock market, I have to eat that. Right. But the bank, on the other hand, can take a loss, and taxpayers are going to bail them out.
Yeah, that's pretty wild because I heard they're doing like they got a big boost from the government. And that's all from
the government's
tax funds, right?
Yeah, basically the government, or I think it's the FDIC, is taking over the bank. And generally with banks, there's FDIC insurance, so you're insured up to $250,000. Right. But obviously a lot of people have more than that, right? But the government assured the investors or whoever had their money in the bank that they're going to get their money back. But where's that money going to come from? Us.
Well, I do a lot of write-offs, so
bro, it's just such it's so messed up. And I mean, I guess the shareholders are the ones who are really going to get hurt here, whoever was invested in the bank. Yeah. But that just tells you never invest all your eggs in one basket. And even the biggest corporations, companies can fall if you make sort of the wrong decisions up top.
But it's a scary thing because people you're saying like invested in the bank, that's basically just anyone with a bank account there, right? Because anytime you put your money into a bank account, like then you're basically signing off your money to be like invested by the bank. But you're still technically, if you put in 10,000, excluding interest and stuff like that, technically they're like, yeah, we have your 10,000, but not today. Like we'll give it back to you. Also, it's weird when you see people like tweaking out at the bank, like they really don't understand how money works. When they're like, why can't I get all my money now? Yeah. It's like, bro, the bank doesn't work like that. Yeah. First of all, they don't keep enough cash for everyone to just be like, yeah, empty out my whole account right now. I mean, if you have a baby account, fine, but if you have like 50, anything over 50, like they're not giving it all. There's definitely a limit. You know what the limit is to withdraw at once inside the bank? Like 10?
No, that ain't the limit. They'll have to report it to the IRS. Anything over 10,000 withdraw.
Oh, okay.
Or deposit.
But there's a limit to I think it might go bank to bank of like how much they'll let you take out all at once because they don't just keep that much cash on hand and they literally don't necessarily have your cash at that moment.
Right. And it's such a messed up thing in a sense because we always saw banks as like I put my money here and it's safe and they hold it for me and whatever. But what it's become is like they kind of protect it, but they just invest most of your money. Yeah. But what's even crazier to think about is like, okay, I put $10,000 in my bank account. Right. They invest $9,000. Let's say someone takes a loan from the bank, so my money goes towards someone else's loan. Yep. And then someone might take a loan from that person if it's like in the context of like a mortgage. So it's like the money ends up like expanding, and that's why our GDP has grown so much relative to like other countries. It's just because of our banking system. It's so powerful, but it also has its downsides. If there's a scare and everyone withdraws their money at once, any bank can fall, honestly. Even Bank of America and stuff. Yeah.
Because they're literally investing money that's other people's money. Yeah. And then they're enjoying all the return from it. And then they're just like, yeah, well, your money's still there. Like, let us know if you need it type thing.
It's still there, but it's not.
Yeah, it's like, this shit like a facade, bro. They've been trading niggas money for a long time. That's what I learned when we was doing Forex. Like, they literally trade all that money. Stocks, bonds, all that shit, bro. They making billions, trillions.
And bonds are supposed to be like much more of like a long-term investment. That's like a very safe play. Like older people would invest in bonds. It's supposed to be a gambling thing. But like you were saying, when you increase whatever,
when rates increase, the price of bonds fall. And they had purchased a lot of bonds when rates were low. I think they secured it at like 1.7%, which it's like decent because it's like guaranteed money. How bonds work, it's like you're guaranteed that rate of return for 10 years, and after the 10 years the government will pay you back the entire thing in full. So in theory it's safe, but when rates go up, the price of that bond will fall because I can go ahead and buy a new bond for the same price with a 3% rate, which means my return is going to be double. So they put all their eggs in one basket. And then it wasn't just that though, but it was a combination of like people slowly are like pulling their money out. So they don't have a lot of cash on hand, so they're forced to sell those bonds to recuperate some of the money. And then people see that, okay, they don't have a lot of cash on hand, they're selling bonds at a crazy loss. I want to get my money out because I don't feel like it's safe in that bank. Everybody's doing it at the same time, and they fall.
Dan, didn't you say you had something that happened with the banking?
Yeah, man, I got some play going on, but one of the dude who brought me in as an investor, he basically said, it's on hold right now because the banks crashed, so they gotta wait to start up. I can't say too much about it because I can't give away all the
under investigation.
I'll let y'all know, you feel me? But it's a big play, Hopefully it go through, but it's all good,
Yeah, just don't leave too much money in the bank, honestly. I mean, the government might bail you out. It seems like that's what they like doing. But
I'll be honest, bro. For like, I'd say our average viewer and like a lot of us is like, your money will probably be good. Like if you got like like they could probably find like 4K and be like, yeah, sorry man, like we had that shit under the cash register here. Like 4K, yeah, we got you. You're good. I think it's like if you got a lot in the bank, but that's also why people that have a large amount of wealth, like they're not just putting their money in the bank because it's like your money is depreciating while they're actually making your money stretch just to give you back the same amount you had with a little bit of interest you gained on it. That's why most people with wealth like that, they're looking for places to put cash, whether it's in real estate investing. I mean, all types of different investments, whether they're just investing in the market. It's they're not leaving just a huge chunk of cash in their bank account. Although, what's weird? When I was a trainer in Beverly Hills, I trained this, he was a lawyer, and his ass was like, yeah, I've never really gotten into investing at all. Maybe I should. I don't really know though. Like, I'm not really. I was so lost because like grown dude, he had like several kids. He's putting them in school. I'm like, so, and I feel dumb as hell. I'm a trainer making like 18 an hour, telling him about why he should invest his money and how his money is depreciating. He's like, oh yeah, that's true, right? Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, like dollars losing value and stuff. I was just like dumbfounded. Like, what do you mean you never? And he's like over 40 for sure, like closer to 50 probably. I was shocked. And he was white. I'll be honest. That also was. I was just would not have expected that. I was thrown off. Like now, I feel like a dickhead trying to explain this to you when I'm like, you're fucking. You put 2 kids through college, or I don't know, probably took out loans, but who doesn't matter? He was doing his thing,
But I realize a lot of people just don't think in that way of like investing and building wealth. They're just a lot of times content. I have an uncle who definitely has M's in the bank, but he just likes looking at it in the bank. Like he doesn't like investing it. He doesn't like buying property. He has a Prius. I'm like. I mean, that's cool.
Those people sicken.
I like taking a risk. I think I gotta take a risk to get some millions. Like,
but there's different sides of the spectrum, bro. Because there's people like that. They got all this money and they're not which is honestly rare though. But then you got the people like, especially during the COVID boom, that was like, you gotta invest your money. But I feel like sometimes it's a little too broad. Like if you have 2,000 and you're trying to figure things out, like no, don't put that into Apple, thinking like you're gonna. How much of a return are you planning to get? Like I get it if you're working like 9 to 5 type thing and you're already not that good with your money or something. You're like, all right, let me just put like X amount aside into investing each week or each month or whatever. That makes sense because you're not really doing anything outside of it to make your money flip other than like, all right, hopefully I'll get a promotion type thing. That makes sense because all right, don't fuck off your money. Go put it into something. At least that's money you won't touch or whatever and you can like afford to lose. But sometimes people think like you're just going to invest and like that's how I'm about to stack up.
You got 1,500 to your name, like, bro, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, you'd have to trade that, but you'd have to just get a lot of expertise for that to work out. Otherwise, you could probably just count on like if you start trying to trade with your $2,000, you're not doing any simulations. You should basically look at that 2,000 as an investment into learning, because you're gonna give all that money to the market, bro. It's gonna be gone, dog. Unfortunately.